I look completely sweaty, and I'm wearing a Celtics shirt, and I don't like the Celtics, and the Raptors are in the finals. But today we are talking about Game of Thrones Season 4. I said Season 3 was the best thing in the history of TV or whatever, and I'm still going to stand by that, but I think Season 4 was really good. I think Season 4 was almost a flawless season. The only flaw I had with this season was the infamous Jaime and Cersei scene. I thought that was just kind of unnecessary, and I think that's one of my complaints about Game of Thrones. Is there's certain deaths, and I'm actually a fair bit ahead of Season 4 now. I've actually finished Season 5. There's some deaths and some moments that felt just a tad unnecessary, especially when I learned that didn't happen that way in the books, and that it was just for the TV show, just to be shocking. And I think it just kind of kills Jaime's character, and I think it just felt pointless. Like, I don't even know if the scene was necessary to be there in the first place, but to make it a rape scene was just not very pretty. The rest of the season, however, was really awesome. I thought that there was so many good storylines. It starts off with King Joffrey's wedding, the Purple Wedding, and I thought that whole scene was done perfectly. I think it really showcased how great the characters were. I thought that, that little dwarf scene, yes, it was bad, and, you really look in the context of the show, it's pretty sad, actually, because some of those people died, and some of their loved ones are in attendance. But the little touches, like Stannis riding the Red Woman, and then, of course, Ren riding Loras, that was really funny, and I thought that they did that. They handled that appropriately to make it as bad as possible, and I thought it was really funny at the end of the day. And then leading up to the death of Joffrey, we really didn't know who did it. All we knew is that we suspected that Tyrion was innocent, and we knew Sansa was innocent, but it really could have been anyone. And then when we saw who it was, when we saw it was Olenna, we're like, that makes sense. And we saw Littlefinger, of course, help with that, and we're like, that makes sense again. And I thought that Littlefinger definitely was kind of the MVP of this season. I mean, he had one hell of a run with everything that went on this season. Starting with, first of all, getting the fool to convince Sansa to give her that necklace, and to convince Sansa that she truly made him feel better, and that was some sort of family heirloom, when in reality Littlefinger had it made just to trick her into trusting him. And seeing Littlefinger build that relationship with Sansa, which is obviously based on his love for her mother, I thought that was really impressive. And then we go to the whole Vale plot line, where we see, of course, Sansa going to her aunt, and as we learn, Littlefinger actually killed Jon Arryn, and then he kills her. And I think that the whole Jon Arryn thing is interesting because, like, in the first season, we all thought the whole conspiracy was that Jon Arryn was murdered by the Lannisters, and that was the way I thought it was too. I thought it was pretty obvious. They made that knight guy that supposedly killed him a real jerk, but he had no involvement. He was just not a nice guy, and Littlefinger framed him the whole time. So Littlefinger really has created chaos throughout the Seven Kingdoms. He started this war, and I think that you look at Littlefinger, his motives are pretty clear. It seems that he just really wants revenge on the Starks, Arryns, and Tullys, the three families that kind of screwed him over. Of course, the Tullys for, not letting Catelyn wed him and going to the Starks, and the Starks, of course, for, Ned Stark going in the way, and then the Arryns because he grew up there, and we see, he takes the power from them, first of all, killing Ned Stark, so creating that power vacuum there, and which was very unfortunate, and then eventually he takes control over the Vale. And, I think that Littlefinger is an absolutely amazing villain and character. And I think of him almost as maybe the main antagonist of this season, really. Well, apart from Tywin. And Tywin's always been awesome. Tywin's one of my favorite characters. I think there's an argument to be made that he's the best player of Game of Thrones, considering how he made his family so powerful. He is the most powerful man in Westeros. And you can see that, in Season 3 and everything. He has this intimidating presence. I've mentioned before, I think, that he reminds me a lot of Christopher Lee and how deep his voice is, and the way he conducts himself. And we see at the end of the day, Tywin gets killed by Tyrion. And that leads us into the whole trial plot line, where Tyrion was the one that killed Joffrey, but he didn't actually, but that's what people think. And Tywin knew that, but Tywin needed a way to get Tyrion out of the way, I think. I think Tywin truly believed that Tyrion was the only threat to him. He thinks that Tyrion, as smart as him, Tyrion's definitely the most similar to him. He has the the political knowledge and the ability to lead, and he has the ability to gain power, but I think Tywin views it, they have different views of the world. He doesn't want someone with the dwarf's worldview and the dwarf's perspective, carrying on the family legacy, when he really loves Jaime. Jaime's the one that he wants to, be the one that takes over his legacy, and because of that, he decides, let's frame Tyrion, let's get Tyrion out of the way, and let's see if we can muster up a deal to have Jaime take over and be my heir. And I thought that was a really well done sequence. And in the end, we have the trial and we have the epic speech, and then we go into trial by combat. And Oberyn's a really cool character. I really like him. He's a real badass. Very much an Inigo Montoya type. You killed my family, prepare to die. And he almost beats the Mountain, but the Mountain's, of course, undefeated. We needed to see the Hound destroy the Mountain. That's what we needed. So, obviously, the Mountain lives, although barely. And, as we see in Season 5, he's kind of been reconstructed. So the Hound is, of course, hopefully going to be the person that kills the Mountain. But in the meantime, we've just got so much going on. We have Arya on her little adventure with the Hound, which, of course, I really like their relationship. I find it is growing. She once viewed him as a complete monster, and she still doesn't like him, and she still leaves him to die. But that is, of course, she can't kill him. She doesn't quite have that hatred anymore for him that she can kill him. And I think that's a really, really, really good touch there as well. So there was a lot that went on this season. I haven't even gotten to, Daenerys' plotline. I believe this is when she's kind of, getting into the whole Marine plotline, which, Daenerys' plotlines have always been kind of hit or miss with me. I haven't really been a big fan. I don't really care about Essos that much. I really like Westeros because I find the climate much more interesting there. Essos is just kind of, you have the slave ownership there, and then you've got the free cities and all. I don't know. Daenerys is a great character, and I find some of the people surrounding her to be interesting characters, but not quite at that level for me personally, I don't think. It is sad seeing Ser Jorah exiled, though, because I know he really begins to love her, and he's a really likable guy. He's one of the most likable characters in the whole thing, but at the same time, it does make sense to see him exiled, because, he did betray her. She trusted him, and he completely kind of screwed her over. So I think that's one of the interesting plot lines. And then we have, of course, the battle between the Wildlings and the Wall, the Night's Watch. Now, this was a really, really, really intense battle. It was a whole episode, actually, and it was a really good episode overall. Seeing the giant attack and seeing all that. I really thought that it was really well done. And I thought it was one of the better battles we've seen on the show. The show does have some really good battles, I'll tell you that. Having seen a couple more battles as well, and hearing about some awesome battles coming up. Although I have heard that the battles in the last season aren't as good. But that said, I really do like the overall battle, and I think that it was interesting to see. And I really do like the way that plotline ends as well, seeing Stannis come in, and now seeing that the Night's Watch is now affiliated with Stannis going into the next season. The thing I said is that I want to see these characters come together now, so we have a little less plot lines going on, but still as many characters. That's kind of the goal, because sometimes there's so many characters having so many different storylines and plot lines. It's hard to keep track, and that's one of the unfortunate aspects of it. So that being said, though, I really did like this season. I really did find this season to be probably the second best season. I think it's a really good time, and I'm excited to review the next seasons coming up. I have a lot to say about Season 5. So thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts are below, and I'll see you guys all later. Goodbye, everybody.